Let me read to you a passage from the first chapter of St. John's Gospel, verses 1 to 18. It's the Gospel for the 7th day in the Octave of Christmas. St. John writes, "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was with God in the beginning. Through him all things were made. Without him nothing was made that has been made. In him was life, and that life was the light of men. The light shines in the darkness, but the darkness has not understood it. There came a man who was sent from God. His name was John. He came as a witness to testify concerning that light, so that through him all men might believe. He himself was not the light. He came only as a witness to the light. The true light that gives light to every man was coming into the world. He was in the world, and through him the world was made, and the world did not recognize him. He came to that which was his own, but his own did not receive him. Yet to all who did receive him, to those who believed in his name, he gave the right to become children of God, children born not of natural descent, nor of human decision, or of husband's will, but born of God. The Word became flesh and made his dwelling among us. We have seen his glory, the glory of the only begotten of the Father, full of grace and truth." John testifies concerning him. He cries out, saying, "This is he of whom I said, he who comes after me has surpassed me, because he was before me. From his fullness we have all received grace upon grace. For the law was given through Moses, grace and truth came through Jesus Christ. No one has ever seen God, but God, the only begotten, who is at the Father's side, has made him known." That's from John chapter 1, verses 1 to 18. What does it suggest to us? Well, of course, it speaks of the Word made flesh. You know, it is, of course, very difficult, if not impossible, to sum up the religious world of classical times, which is to say the time of the appearance of the Christian religion. There was the popular and official religion of Greece and Rome, with its vast array of gods and goddesses. In the Greek world, for instance, there was the typical hierarchy of deities, with Zeus, the king of the gods, having a level of control over the others. Some deities had dominion over certain aspects of nature. Zeus was the sky god, sending thunder and lightning. Poseidon ruled over the sea and earthquakes. Hades exercised his power throughout the realm of death and the underworld. And Helios controlled the sun. Other deities ruled over a facet of life. For instance, Aphrodite controlled love. The gods acted like humans and had human vices. At times, certain gods would be opposed to others, and they would try to outdo each other. It was a human scene enlarged and acted out on an otherworldly stage. Those who were not satisfied by the public cult of the gods could turn to various mystery religions, which operated as cults, into which members had to be initiated in order to learn their secrets. At the same time, several notable philosophers criticized the prevailing belief, although it is difficult to sum up the position of Greek philosophy on religion. Xenophanes opposed the vices of the gods as well as their human-like depiction. And so different was Socrates' view from that of the state that in 399 BC he found himself before a jury of 500 of his fellow Athenians, accused of refusing to recognize the gods that were recognized by the state, and of corrupting the youth. He was condemned to death, and died by drinking the prescribed hemlock. His disciple Plato seems to have believed in what he called the form of the good, and which he believed was the emanation of perfection in the universe. And Plato's disciple Aristotle also discounted polytheism because he could not find evidence for it. He proposed the prime mover, which has set creation going, but was scarcely interested in the universe. Many other examples could be given of the polytheism and religion of the peoples of classical times. How different is the grand beginning of the Gospel of St. John, which is the passage for the end of the Octave of Christmas, the last day of the civil year. It is set at a height and a depth without parallel in the religion of the ancient world. At the same time, it is presented as plain and hard fact, in this sense the most down-to-earth of statements. Plato and Aristotle attained exceedingly valuable abstractions, mixed with errors, and these abstractions would be used by the greatest intellects of the Christian religion. But here, in St. John, we have simple statements presenting plain facts that reveal the life of the ineffable God. In the beginning was the Word, that Word that had been uttered by God in the beginning, and due to which all things that exist were made. The book of Genesis speaks of God and his Word. John informs us here that this Word was with God in the beginning, and in fact was God. The Word of God was the Word with a capital W. He was a person and was with God in the beginning and was God. Whoever heard of this? It is a remarkable doctrine, and were it not proved to be true by the person and life of Jesus Christ, well, its remarkable character would itself be cause for interest and reflection. It is absolutely unique among the religions of man. Further, this divine Word became man and dwelt among us. He is the light of the world and of every man in it. Whatever be the value of the work of the philosophers, it cannot compare with the light available to the world in the person of Jesus Christ, the Word of God become flesh. His was the glory, and that glory was seen by those who knew him and were his friends. We have seen his glory, John writes, the glory of the only begotten of the Father, full of grace and truth. It is seen by those who come to know, to love, and to follow him. Those who do not know him will not see his glory, except at the end, when he comes again on the clouds, accompanied by the angels. Indeed, it is very likely that they will reject and persecute him, as did Paul, before he was confronted by the glorified Jesus, who said to him, "Saul, why do you persecute me?" So let us appreciate anew the wonder of Jesus Christ and his revelation. Let us take our stand on what God has revealed. The countless religions of man deserve the respect that man deserves. They represent his yearning for the beyond. But we have been granted a wondrous revelation by God. We know the true and only God, that he is one in being and nature, yet three in persons. The Father has sent his Son as our Redeemer, and this work of redemption done, Father and Son have sent the Spirit to his church to be our sanctifier. Let us embrace anew all that God has revealed and do our best to bring it to the world.